All right, we've got a clip here from NBC. This is Megyn Kelly's new show, and they did a story about the efforts of Joe Maddon in his hometown of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, where, as you articulated in the previous segment, that Joe Maddon has been funding and heading up a group of people to try to bring the white community and the Hispanic community together. He calls it the Hazleton Integration Project, or HIP. It's a community-based effort that seeks to unite the people of many different cultures who now call Hazleton home. And he talked about sort of where he feels this effort is, and he used some strong wording about who's on the right and wrong side of history in this case.
Let there be no doubt, bridging Hazleton's divide is still a work in progress. Today, the city is more than 50% Hispanic. Some whites we met are still displeased, but Maddon is emphatic. Hispanics are the future.
Because they're going to save our town, and you have two options right here. Either get on board and help us, or just, you're going to die, and when you die and go away, then you're going to get out of the way, you're not going to be part of the problem anymore. So it's either help or die.
Come on, Kevin!
These days...
Now, that was Harry Smith reporting.
Okay.
And it's clear what Joe Maddon is saying. Saying that at some point, right. And I think he understands the demographic angle here. And it's not unlike...
The older people are the ones that probably aren't getting on board.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's not...
Because their life is changing.
Exactly. They're seeing a world that they once knew and understood to be more difficult to understand. And this obviously...
The last 8 years in this country, pretty much.
It's very easy. Hazleton is a microcosm of what's going on elsewhere. And the reason why I think what's happening in Hazleton resonates so greatly is that it is representative of some larger feelings. And similarly, if you look at which demographics and the ages of people that consume different, say, television news networks, and you can see one of those demographics is going to die sooner than the others because there are a lot of old, uncomfortable people who struggle with a changing world and seek out places that make them feel better about it. So Maddon said that. He said, look, and obviously, it's clear what he means. You know,
help or die.
You're right. You're help or die. You're going to.
Either way, this is going to happen.
Right. This is going to happen. It's just a matter of can we accelerate it by people deciding to get on board, or are they just is time going to take care of it? Now, the Times leader of Hazleton today, is it the 7th or the 8th today? So yesterday posted an op-ed, and this is his hometown newspaper here. He's full of himself, said one senior citizen and lifelong Hazleton resident. Another noted, that was terrible. I hate him. I hope he doesn't win one game. Hardly what you would expect to overhear in conversations about hometown Hazleton hero and Chicago Cubs manager Joe Maddon. But Joe recently sparked outrage among Mountain City natives by some poorly chosen words during an interview with NBC News that aired 2 weekends ago. It was actually a positive piece by correspondent Harry Smith for Megyn Kelly's new Sunday night show. The theme was how Joe's work through his Hazleton Integration Project, or HIP, has helped the city's sizable immigrant population, specifically Hispanics, assimilate into the community and change perceptions. But then Joe slipped up big time. And they have the quote here. It's either help or die. They're going to save our town. Really, Joe? Help or die? Die and go away? For a guy who speaks to the media every day as part of his job leading the Cubs, he should be more savvy than to say such a thing about his Hazleton brethren.
See, but do you have more? I'm sorry.
It was the equivalent of Joe, the manager, calling his own players a bunch of no-good bums. See, I disagree with this op-ed completely.
No doubt.
And they conclude here saying he needs to apologize for insulting the hard-working and fair-minded people of Hazleton. There are many in number, contrary to what the national reports seem to imply. We want to hear an apology straight from Maddon, not through a spokesperson or a family member. If he has time to talk to NBC and other outlets, surely he can interrupt this baseball season for a mea culpa to his hometown. We're waiting, Joe.
See, now this is the problem that I have. Much like the Colin Kaepernick thing, are you upset about the execution of the message, or are you down with the cause that's behind the execution of the message? I feel as if, yeah, you want all the apologies in the world, but he's kind of asking you after you're angry and after you get over me saying help or die. are you down to help these Latin people, these Latinos, these Hispanics? Are you down to help them acclimate to this city that we call home?
I hope.
After all the uproar and, oh my God, he said that we should help her die. I'm hardworking and my life's changing in front of me and I don't feel comfortable about it. Well, guess what? He kind of is talking to you.
He is. And he's trying to get you to pay attention, and I hope he does not apologize, because here is the logical flaw in this Times Leader op-ed. He needs to apologize for insulting the hardworking and fair-minded people of Hazleton. He wasn't talking to the fair-minded.
No, he's talking to the people who are on the other side of the fence.
He was specifically talking to the unfair-minded.
Right.
That's the problem here, that you're taking offense on behalf for people to whom he was not talking. He was talking to the discriminatory people. He was talking to the frightened people who lash out because these other people speak a language they don't understand.
Right. And don't look like
He's talking to them. He's saying those people who are going to die anyway might as well just get out of the way if they're not going to help. He's not talking to the fair-minded people of Hazleton. He's already recruited the fair-minded people.
Right, they're on board.
The fair-minded people are on board. So that's what's BS, and that's what this is. This is
like what we talked about. Don't hide behind the minutia. Don't hide behind the semantics. Say that you don't want these people in your city, and then we can start the conversation for real. Like that. In most of these things that where a person of popularity or of platform, whenever a side is taken or whenever a cause is taken up that makes people uncomfortable, there's always the backdooring of it or going around the way and saying, oh, well, this is the part that I'm not a fan of. Well, guess what? Just get to the meat of it. Do you agree with the meat of it? Are you disagreeing with the meat of it, so we can actually start the conversation and get through all the
I got you. No, the problem with this is that the Times Leader didn't put a name on this op-ed.
Oh, that sucks.
And it just says Times Leader. And I know an editorial board, it can be done. I would love to have to say, Shep, call this person.
Yeah.
Call this woman. Call this guy. Because to me, this is opportunistic. This is opportunistic civic populism for the paper to say, look, I'm defending the good honor of this city. Well, you know what? There's a lot wrong with this city. And Joe Maddon's the guy with boots on the ground and money out of his pocket, actually trying to bring people together and bridge this gap. And there was the language incendiary in some respects, designed to get a reaction? You bet it was. Yeah. You bet it was. He knows what he's saying. He's not a dumb guy.
Yeah.
He knows.
For any action to be taken, sometimes you have to snatch the souls of people that are comfortable in their rocking chairs, watching people, struggle around them.
Yeah. Who is owed an apology here? The bigoted Hazleton resident he's calling out, he's got to apologize because that person's now that is offended. Somehow they're triggered now because Joe dared call them out and say, look, you know what? You're old. You're going to die anyway. So we can wait you out.
This makes me think of so many things, man. And it always ends up like this, where in the end, there are scared people because someone doesn't look like them, someone doesn't speak the same language, they don't eat the same food, and now they're going to bring something to your community. I'm going to tell you right now, if you treat people who are new to your community poorly and you don't accept them and jobs aren't given to them that they are there to earn. We're not talking about handouts here. If a community isn't accepting of a house on a block or a neighborhood isn't accepting of a new family on a block, like bad things, that's when the worst things happen. That's when you see the worst out of people and go, oh, see, there it is. I knew it was going to happen to my town and look what's happened. Like that, it's so lame. And the way that every other culture is forced to acclimate to what is thought of as the standard, and where the standard should just be a good person, help those out in need, go about your business on a daily basis as a good citizen. I mean, if we're talking about fair-minded residents, those aren't, like you said, those aren't the people that he's addressing. And like I said, sometimes you do have to snatch the necks of some people to wake people up.
He's specifically addressing the unfair-minded. So I would love to talk to whoever wrote that. That is
shout out to Joe.
Yeah, shout out to Joe
for standing up for people who with his platform.
Apologize.
Yeah, with his platform is very important.
Don't apologize. He owes not one person. I don't care what this newspaper is trying to wrap themselves in here. We demand an apology. No. No, because the people he's trying to reach, he's not apologizing to them.
The 630, stop talking politics and pushing a progressive agenda.
Who, what the idea?
But think about that sentence, though. Like, who doesn't want progress?
Some whites we met are still displeased.
I thought that was the quote. I swear to God, I thought that was your answer, Chris. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not going to take it there yet. Maybe second segment I'll get to. I thought some whites we met was the answer to the question.
How are you against an agenda of bringing a community together?
Man.
Mike in Oak Lawn is on the score. Hi, Mike.
Wow, man, that one really hits home for me. I'm Caucasian. I grew up in Oak Lawn, Illinois. And the demographics have changed there. In fact, I've moved back there with my wife, who's born in Dominican Republic. She's brown. And many of the neighbors have nothing but disdain for her, and for no other reason that for her skin pigmentation.
Yeah,
and I see a lot of it.
My buddy just bought a house in Oak Lawn and says that, he likes it, and there's a lot of people there that, he liked it because he could get away from the area that he used to live in, and he says that there are a lot of people there who are friendly and some that aren't so friendly, but that comes with the territory.
Yeah, and Mike, you see, that's why the story.
Unfortunately,
that's why the story resonates.
I want to add something though. Last year, I went to a kangaroo court proceeding for a traffic incident in Oak Lawn, and when I was in the courthouse, they had a photograph of a cigar shop Indian in the vestibule of the courthouse, and I found it to be an inappropriate place to have that type of photograph. Mm-hmm. Like, why is that here? It's demeaning. But that's just
and
how some
people
are. And
Mike, some of it is sheer just in the true definition of the word ignorance, where people don't know why.
Right, not knowing.
Yeah, not knowing why someone might feel a certain kind of way, or why it's hard to have conversations when you feel like everybody is looking at you kind of weird. Like, I feel like the majority of the people that are being talked to when Joe Maddon says this just immediately get on the defensive and go, oh, wait a minute, hold on. What does he want me to change? When you look at it, not much about your life will probably change.
Also, if you
not much. If you're an established citizen in the city of Hazleton, PA, and I don't know what the average family household income is there, but if you're an established citizen, what really is going to change about your life after the infusion of a Hispanic population? What's going to really change about your life, other than maybe you start to, I don't know, talk to people who don't look like you, enjoy things that people don't look like you enjoy, like the fear in that. I can't wrap my head around, because I guess my entire life, my mother and my father, but especially my mom, has tried to push me in the direction of understanding other people's cultures, understanding what people are like. The world isn't all black, Jay, so you're not going to only have black friends. The world isn't all this. The world isn't all that. You get as many people around you as possible and try to see where they're coming from, and then maybe you can be the person that opens their eyes to some things that they weren't dealing with or had never dealt with before.
The time that he's spent on this project, what it means to him?
Yeah,
because he knows
it's been a while now he's been doing this.
And he's the son or grandson of immigrants himself. And there was a long time in this country when during that wave of immigration from Italy and Ireland, where
Irish and Italian people were treated like the people who are being so-called locked out of this country now and looked down upon. They're coming to take your jobs. It's been the same rhetoric for decades.
It's no different. He gets that. He understands that when the Maddonini family came over, that they were not trusted. They were the swarthy outsiders who were doing the work that others wouldn't do. And there was an outcry, I want to say, when the president used the term paddy wagon recently, because of what that's understood to mean back when Paddy was short for Patrick or Padrig. And that's when the Irish were believed to be thugs and punks and brawlers that had to be locked up. Believe me, this is
not new.
This city should know it better than most. And how communities turn over. Maddon has understood it. Maddon has backed up his thoughts with a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort in his hometown as he has seen this happen. And he's holding out a hand. And all he wants is for other people in that community to hold out a hand and to understand. And it's so important. And when he says, look, you're going to die anyway. So we can wait you out, and history is going to move on without you, or you can be a part of something good and trying to knit the fabric of a community back together. And for this newspaper to somehow find an other side of that somehow he's insulting anybody who feels insulted. Look, the shoe fits.
Yeah.
There's a reason for
hit dog holler. You know, a hit dog will holler every time. This from the 414. I love you too, but I honestly don't feel that it's my obligation to accept anybody outside my friends and family.
What?
I love law-abiding citizens. I hate punks, thugs, low-lives, bottom feeders. I generally find most people detestable, myself included. Let me tell you something, man. You are living a limited and very sad life. And the fact that you would think that the infusion of somebody of a people that don't look like you is nothing but low-lives, thugs, bottom feeders, and detestable people, it says a lot about you. It says a lot about you, and I hope that you don't represent the voiceless majority that's out there hiding behind things that they don't want to say in public.
What time does Maddon speak to the media? I don't know if our show's still going to be on. It'd be like 7. It'd probably be a little after 7 is when he'll talk, but. It's amazing to me that, see, and also what I'm disappointed in is for those of us that still believe in the importance of local news editorial boards and the role that they play, a newspaper's supposed to know better. You're trusted to know better. You're trusted and that is a cheap, superficial, and ultimately damaging move to derail an effort that is in the. If you really feel that they have to play to some base of their readership, perhaps I don't know what they feel they're trying to do or how they feel that benefits them, but I think it paints a newspaper in a bad light when they decide, oh yeah, Joe Maddon insulted us because we don't want Latinos around. Really? You're gonna die on that hill as an editorial board?
Yeah.
That's what's
but just think though, they feel like they're talking to their base.
That's what I mean.
So if their base feels that way, there's a bigger problem. I truly have, and I can't wrap my head around it. And maybe it's because of my experiences in life or what I think I've become. But I cannot wrap my head around being afraid of a person that I don't know. Or that I don't even venture to know, in terms of just an entire people, and maybe being African American, I can't do that because if that's the case, then I'm gonna be walking around here afraid of everybody. Being the minority and being afraid of the majority and other minorities, like you're
not gonna leave the house.
Yeah, exactly. Like my head's gonna be on a swivel, but I can't. I could not fathom. And then these people have kids. Yeah. When we talk about, the help or die thing, I used to think, these old folks that feel this way, that went through segregation and said all the mean things and nasty things and now are quiet and ready to die in some, old folks home or in a rocking chair on their porch. Well, guess what? Like generations pass nasty things down. Things get passed down. There are a lot of young people now who feel the same way. So I used to hope and feel like things would change with the growing old of some of these ignorant people, but things have showed me that there are newer and more younger and ignorant voices out there as well.
See, and if I'm Joe Maddon, not only am I not apologizing, I am going to snap into action and come up with some new T-shirts. Right?
Well, you don't want to be seen as trying to
help or die.
Monetize.
Help or die. For charity. I'm not trying to make money for the project.
I got you.
Help or die. Go ahead. Write three words. Put it on a T-shirt. Put it on a hat.
You're going to die.
He's not wrong.
Joe told you so.
Help or die. There you go.
815. Maybe they're worried they won't be able to decide on which taqueria to go to. That's always a good problem to have.
Brought to you by Spot Hero. You've got the score. All right, so we found the guy. You talk about detective work. Nick Shepkowski, you talk about big city EP work here.
Yeah, he's our Carmen Sandiego.
The leg man working the phones actually tracked down the person who wrote the op-ed for the Times Leader that is demanding an apology from Cubs manager Joe Maddon for his strongly worded comments about people who aren't on board with his efforts to unify the people of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and
is it such
apparently this man needs permission
from his boss. I can
his
dig
boss.
that.
There's a lot of news going on, is what I was told.
I can understand that.
A lot of Hazleton.
A lot of news going on.
Before we go on, other programs, we check in with Mitch, so I can dig that. I can understand that.
A lot of news going on in Hazleton. It's a crazy news desk there.
He should be calling you back here in 2 minutes, though.
I was gonna say, at least tell me no if you're gonna call back.
Right.
But he answers the phone like, yeah, I wrote the piece, and I look at Tanny. I'm like, we got him. He's for sure coming on right now.
I'm expecting to see the little blinking check mark on there.
Like, where?
Don't hold your breath.
Like, where are you calling from? What station's this? Oh, it's radio. I'm like, yeah, it's what the station the Cubs are on, and we've been discussing your piece. Oh. It's a busy day. I got to check with my boss. I'll call you back.
Hey, it's popping times in Hazleton.
Right, you got Hispanics who you have to demonize.
So we'll await his call. I'm sure it's coming any minute.
We're so busy demonizing Hispanics. I don't know if I have time to come on the air. Yeah. Matt in River North, you're on the score.
Hey, fellas.
Hey.
Jace, you make some great points. In your opinion, do you think a lot of this stuff, and the world shouldn't work the way it works, but a lot of this stuff is because people see things on TV and movies, and these people are portrayed in certain ways.
Yeah, images are very powerful.
But I want to, there was an article, I guess it was a couple of years ago, about the San Diego State football team went to Provo, Utah to play. And the African-American players said they never felt more threatened in their lives, that it was worse than Birmingham in the 60s.
I don't know how those kids would be able to say that.
Right, unless there's dogs and fire hoses and
really felt
bombings.
They felt that
it
was
threatened, or they felt
threatened.
Alienated.
They were not comfortable.
Oh, and I can't speak to that, and I would hate to cast aspersions on Provo like I know, but I mean, I thought it was going to go a different route where you feel like you have to, like, for me. I feel, and it's probably, and Dan, I've talked to you about this, it's probably too much of a burden to put on myself, but it's uncomfortable at times. But I feel like every interaction that I have with someone who doesn't look like me, I'm a representative to that person.
Yep.
And whether it be on an elevator or if I'm having a bad day or any of those things, I feel like I don't want, if this person is a person who doesn't interact with people who look like me on a daily basis, I don't want that person to leave with a bad experience.
It's not fair to you.
It isn't.
But it's not fair to you, but everything you do carries extra signifying power, extra symbolism.
No doubt, because like today on the elevator, there was a family that was getting ready to go to Millennium Park. And it happens all the time on the elevator that I park in because you got a lot of tourists who park there. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm listening to them talk, and they sound like they don't know where they're going. And I'm like, all right, I got to tell. And right before that, we get on the elevator.
By the way, if you want.
Yeah. Right before that, we get on the elevator, and one of the kids looks at my backpack, says NFL Network, and I see his eyes, and I'm like, this kid probably thinks, I'm affiliated with the NFL somehow. And it happens quite often where I laugh a little bit or I make a joke out of it. And they're talking. And they're like, all right, do we make a left when we get out of the elevator? And I was like, all right, here we go. Hey, this is what you should do. And I tell them, and they all light up, and they go, oh, thank you so much, man. People
we thought you were going to stab us.
No. But it's like, people are so nice. And I'm like, yeah, man, have a good time. There's a nice place to eat right across. There's a Cosi right across the way. You can get yourself a couple of sandwiches. And I feel like, I hope that those interactions, especially for tourists, will make them, have a different opinion than I can't ask a stranger, or I can't ask a person in this city that doesn't look like the people that we are normally around. And I maybe that's me stretching it out a little bit too much, but I feel like that. That's why the way I tip the way I do.
I've saved I've saved so many tourists from bad meals.
Well, that's different. If you want yourself a deep dish pizza, and you have to go to a certain store,
I've heard people say, "Well, let's go here," and I'm thinking, no, don't eat there. And I've actually come over
have that
and
experience, Dan.
I said, I'm sorry, but I know you've got a limited number of meals on your vacation. Where are you from? But I got to do this. And I said, I'm not. This isn't someplace my buddy owns or anything like that. But what are you looking for? Like, oh, well, a good steak. Like, okay, look, listen. Here's the deal, and here's the places you should choose. Like, oh, this is great because the concierge is getting a kickback. Whatever. You don't deal with that.
All of a sudden, it's Bernstein TripAdvisor. All of a sudden,
I felt compelled.
I can dig
don't
it.
eat there. It's horrible.
Yeah. And the best is when you have like really weird interactions with a person and you get locked up in that elevator for 4 floors with them. Like people who think I'm trying to take their parking space, or people who hear my music a little bit too loud and like, oh my God, what the hell's going on there? And then I'm in the elevator and I saw the person react and I'm like, I'm just standing there like smiling at them like, hey man, it's me and you for 4 floors. Look, I hope you're having a good time because I'm having a blast.
I've been on the other side of it too. When people say, well, Paris, all these snooty Parisians, and they look down on these loud Americans,
and then you go there with something in your head already.
But like bending over backwards to help you out and walk you through stuff and point things out to you. And the other thing was that, especially, it was really notable in Paris that these Parisians were also of every different color and ethnicity,
no doubt.
And they're all Parisians, but it's not what you saw from the Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Exactly, it's not the imagery that's been pounded into your head.
John in Grand Rapids, you're on the score.
Hey, fellas. I just want to give my 2 cents. Being single, I was, the meatball rah-rah USA. It wasn't until I got married to my wife now, who's Nigerian. She opened up my eyes to new culture and new things, and so I'd kind of tone it down. So I thought, you guys, what you're talking about, different cultures and the way Joe responded, I think that was great. Keep it going, guys.
Hey, John, I bet that wedding was on point, though, wasn't it? I mean, you had your crew, she had her crew, and everybody had a good time, didn't they?
Man, it was colorful as all can be.
Oh, there it is, John. When you marry a Nigerian, it will be very colorful.
I love those stories. As you know, my wife's a wedding planner, and when she's like, this one's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Like, why? She's like, well, it's Central Texas, and the groom's are in Central Texas, and the bride is an Indian exchange student.
Let's get it on.
Let's go.
Let's get it on.
And one was like hardcore south side of Chicago, and then the other was from, where was it? It was, I forget which
Central
country
Texas?
it was. No, but there's like all kinds of these diverse and
dude. I wish I was older for my Uncle Wayne's wedding. He's the cop. He's married to Louise, and I love Louise to death. Love her family, and they're Irish, and they're like Irish, like they all these stereotypes that you might have in your head right now.
Yes, you're nodding along. Okay.
Just check off everyone. And the party, like I'm a kid and I'm looking around like, yo, like, because my family, my Belizean family, they came thirsty and her family came thirsty, and it was a ball. And I'm sitting there like, man, this is all right. Like, this is cool. And I grew up that way.
That's what Joe Maddon's doing. Yeah. That's what his group
Smashing
does.
people together.
No, they're creating moments like that instead of
forcing cultures to interact.
It might not be weddings, but he's like, look, we're going to do a potluck dinner. That is exactly what his project is doing. Saying, let's all get in a room together and sit down and eat. Mm-hmm. And you bring your food, and you bring your food.
And I bet you the conversation will go places that you never thought it would. This is from 319. Jesus, Jason, that's a ridiculous burden. I'm not tipping 25% because I'm a brother. I'm tipping according to your actual damn service. Well, I mean, if you do a good job, I'm going to tip you a little bit more. But yeah, man, I think, you know what it is? Have you ever had like a cold or something so long that you forgot what it felt like to be healthy? Or the flu, and you don't appreciate your health the way you should until you get sick. I feel like I have been interacting like this, and I feel like it's genuine. And Shep has been around me, Tanny's been around me, you've been around me, Dan, where I interact with people even when I'm having a tough day because I don't want them to have an experience that maybe they're like, yep, there you go. See, there it is. And maybe it is a ridiculous burden to have or something to throw on myself. But, it's kind of like I don't know any other way. And it's not that I'm being phony. Like, I talk to all the security guards here the same way I talk to Tim Pullman. You know what I mean? Like, I say what's up, and I keep it moving. Or if somebody needs something from me and I can be of service, I try to help out. But the proliferation of ignorance, anger, and hate, like,
needs a lot of work to push against it. And that's what Joe Maddon's doing. And sometimes the words have to be harsh. And Joe Maddon doesn't have to apologize for a damn thing. Hey, has that guy called you back, Shep?
Absolutely not.
We got a call back from the Times Leader?
Going on.
Too much news at Hazleton.
Put him on the pay near mind list.
I'm a businessman. I got
the
news.
goof.
Hey, keep calling.
Waiting for that clearance. From
Keep calling.
Bug him.
If you've got a number for someone higher than him, tell them that you put in the request for that guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. See if he told the truth about asking his boss to come on. We go now to the Grossinger Auto Group hotline. Find over 5,000 vehicles every day at grossinger.com. And joining us on Sports Radio 670 The Score is Michael Reich, he of the TimesLeader.com from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Hello, Michael. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So you are the author of the op-ed piece yesterday regarding Joe Maddon and demanding an apology?
Well, I said that it was in print. It was in today, but yes, I am the author of that, yes.
Okay.
Why do you feel he should apologize?
Well, I think what he said was wrong. I think I made the case for that in what I wrote, and I think what he said was wrong, and I think he should apologize for all the people who do the right things every day. And
but do you think he's addressing them?
Well, what
isn't he
first of all,
addressing
what did he say that was wrong?
Well, it was in the column that I wrote.
Okay, well, you're on the radio, and most of our listeners weren't able to actually sit and read that. What did he say that was wrong?
Well, I'm assuming you read it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have known.
I want to hear in your words what you feel was wrong.
Let me read it here. Hold on. He said, you have two options right here. Either you get on board and help us as we're moving this thing along, or you're going to die. And when you die and go away, then you're going to get out of the way. You're not going to be part of the problem anymore, so it's either help or die.
What about that is wrong?
It's a little bit harsh way to put it, isn't it? Is that fair to people to put it like that?
No, you're asking me questions. What about that is wrong? Not harsh, wrong.
Well, I think there's a better way to put that.
How would you
put it?
Well, I wouldn't use the word die. Get out of the way. If he's supposed to be interested in the business of changing minds and mindsets, well, then he's basically saying, hey, get out of the way or die, or these people are just going to die off, and we're not going to have to worry about them anymore.
How is that? But how is that wrong? Isn't that true?
Well,
you mentioned,
I don't think that is true, and I think that it is wrong.
You mentioned
again. You don't think it's true that a certain demographic where
well, I think that it's true that there's many people in here. All these national reporters that have come into this small town. It's a town of about 25,000 in southern Luzerne County. And by the way, I also point out all the good things that the community center has done and Joe Maddon has done. And personally, I like the man. He seems like a nice guy. Okay, and everybody knows his relatives in town. And there's been national media in town countless number of times over the last few years, especially last fall, of course, when the Cubs were in the World Series. Okay, and but the tone of some of these national reports are like, well, we can't help ourselves. The town was in such dire straits. We didn't know what to do. Joe Maddon came in on like the knight in shining armor on a white horse or something like that. And that's just not true. There are many, many good people there. There are many good civic organizations in Hazleton. And
well, he was speaking to the people who haven't gotten on board with helping the Hispanic community acclimate to the town that is Hazleton.
Well, how about reaching out to them instead of just saying like, oh, we don't, you're going to die and get out of the way.
How do you think they would respond if he reached out?
Yeah, how has that gone as he's reached out to this community?
Many people have come around to his way of thinking. Okay.
Exactly. So perhaps he's speaking to those who have not and clearly might not. The issue that I have, and again, I want to get back to this. What he said about knowing that there is a certain group that over time is simply going to go away. That's just like the same group, the same groups that once thought that
Italians and Irish.
Go back even further, that women shouldn't be able to vote, that gay people shouldn't be able to marry. I mean, eventually those views change, and he's absolutely right about the inexorable march of history. So I'm just curious, what touched such a nerve that you say what he said was wrong? Because I disagree. I don't think it's wrong.
Because it's condescending, and because he should have put it in a different way.
That doesn't make it wrong, though.
Yeah.
Well, the words that he uses were wrong.
How's it wrong?
No, they aren't. The words he uses are
you
correct.
just agreed to the words.
No, well, that's where we have our general. That's then where we're stuck in a disagreement because the words that he were used were wrong. Even the person who runs the center in Hazleton, which is his cousin-in-law, came out and said that he should have used different words to say what he meant to say.
Using different words and being factually wrong is two different things, though.
Well, I mean, you can split hairs all you want.
It's not
Well,
splitting
no,
hairs.
that's the fundamental issue here.
I think he should apologize.
For
I'll
what?
move on.
What should he apologize for? Is the fact that he told people
to clarify exactly meant and to clarify for exactly what he meant. And
I think
clear,
do you not know what he meant?
No, not really. What are you talking about? Get out of the way or die. Why would you put it in such words?
That's not the question.
Help.
The question isn't because sometimes.
Well, I think you should apologize.
Okay. Well, I don't think you're constructing a particularly effective case.
He's a
here we go. Here we go. So Michael, he isn't a citizen. He isn't a person from this town.
So as a baseball manager, he's not entitled.
Sure, just like everybody else, just like the people that he's telling to get out of the way and die. Those people are entitled to opinion as well.
Of course they are, and he's getting their attention in this way. Let me ask you this about
their opinion might lead to some of the things that happen on the bad end to some of the Hispanic community.
The reason why he's there doing that work is because of some of their opinions. And I want to go to the final graph of this piece, where you say he needs to apologize for insulting the hardworking and fair-minded people of Hazleton. Do you think he was speaking to the fair-minded people, or do you think he was specifically and quite clearly speaking to those who are unfairly minded?
He didn't specify.
But what do you think? No, don't.
You should come out and clarify.
No. Now you're playing. Now you're playing dumb. Now you're playing dumb, and it's not working.
All right.
Because when you say he's not talking to the fair-minded people. The fair-minded people of Hazleton understand what he's doing and are helping him. Those are the fair-minded people. So
listen, I'm going to close like this because I'm in the middle of a work day here. And but I'll tell you this. There are, and I don't know if you guys are from small towns or big cities or what, but in small town mentality, at least the smaller town that I came from, you see somebody get ahead in life and do good for themselves and become nationally famous like Joe Maddon has. And I think some people naturally that fosters resentment, and they just don't like him just because he got out of that small town and made a name for himself, right? And so that's wrong. That's what people should be encouraging and applauding instead of resenting. So the people in town, listen, I haven't finished my point yet. The people in town from the beginning who cut him down and from this area who cut him down, I disagreed with and I've been in arguments with and I defended him. I said, listen, the guy doesn't have to have anything to do with his hometown. He's on a $25 million contract, or even when he was with Tampa Bay, he certainly had enough money. He didn't have to have anything to do with his hometown. He could have flew his family down to see him, to visit him. He didn't have to come back to his hometown to visit them. So I always said, give the guy credit. He's showing an interest in his hometown, and he's trying to improve people's lives.
And now he's trying to show an interest in his hometown as well.
Many of these points, excuse me, I'm not done yet. Many of these points.
This is a conversation. This is not gonna be a one-sided thing, especially on this show.
If this is the case,
many of the points I made in that column. So I always argued that you should not resent the guy for doing that. But now the national press has come to town for the umpteenth time.
Why does that bother you? It's the second time you mentioned why are you bothered by the sunlight of the national press? What are you afraid of?
I and others share the opinion that these national reports seem to
make your town look bad.
Seem to have taken a condescending tone. Like we couldn't help ourselves. Boy, we couldn't tie our own shoes before Joe Maddon came along and built this community center.
That's an insecurity complex.
But you know what? Why is that tone wrong? Why is that tone incorrect?
Because it is incorrect. Hazleton has many good people working there in civic groups. There are many movements afoot to help us our newer residents in town, and because there are many people, regardless of what Maddon has done, who have improved their lot in life through their own hard work and to
you
resources
bring
that
up
help
you're keeping up hardworking as if the people, the Hispanic population that has been infused into this town, none of them are hardworking as well.
You've got every dog.
No,
you are really good at dog whistle code words when it comes to
hardworking and fair-minded and small town and all these other things.
I'm saying the newer immigrants who have come here to Hazleton through their own work have picked themselves up and elevated their status. That's what I'm saying by hard work. They did.
Yet that's different than
then
how are those people being insulted by Maddon?
Everybody is, because he threw us all in the same lot.
No, he didn't.
To come out and apologize. Well,
no, he did.
So the people of that mindset.
If you were paying attention to that is you're intentionally misreading what he said to apparently try to score points for your newspaper with a certain ingrained base of readership. That's how this comes off to me. You deliberately. I'm hearing you say it too, where there is an unfair and deliberate misinterpretation of what he clearly very harshly said. My question to you is, if all those things you say are true about how you feel about Joe Maddon and the whole, I don't know about the whole small town thing,
personally, I like him.
Okay, well, why apologize
and explain this, and then we could all move on.
But he does. You get it. Here's the thing.
Certainly a slip up.
Here's the thing. I don't think
get back to work.
I don't think he needs to explain it to you, because I think you get it, and I think this is a cynical opportunity to pander to a certain part of your town, instead of having the Times Leader on what is inevitably the right side of history. So 50 years from now, do you want to have your name on this? 50 years from now, when this succeeds and Hazleton is a vibrant and multicultural economic center in Luzerne County, do you want your name on this?
50 years from now, I'm probably not going to be alive.
That's not my point.
Yeah, but your writing will live on.
Yeah, my point is the.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, now you want to be smarmy. It's all good, man. Good times.
Okay. Well, no, I appreciate you talking to you guys. I'm in the middle of the day.
All right, we'll let you get back to your busy day. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it. That is Michael Reich of the Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania Times Leader. Fun stuff.